You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Man, this stuff rocks.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Bill from O ZORN, and you're watching BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome guitarist and vocalist Bill Kielty of O ZORN, and O ZORN is set to release their upcoming new full-length album entitled Vermillion Haze, March 15th via Seeing Red Records. And you also want to check out current singles that are out right now from this album, Never Saw It Coming and Slow Mood. So, Bill, welcome to the podcast, and how you doing, my brother?
Good, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem whatsoever. I just got to say, I'm a big sludge metal doom fan, and I love these two tracks, and just, man, they are knockouts. So, good. Kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
How excited are you to release this new album entitled Vermillion Haze via Seeing Red Records, man? Let's talk about that a little bit. How excited are you guys to get this out finally?
Super excited. It's been in the can for a while now, so it's just been it's been done for about a year and a half, so we've been sitting on it for a while. So yeah, we're eager to get it out.
So is that frustrating though for you guys to be sitting on it, be like, look, we got to get this out? You know, did you ever think like it's never going to come out? Was it very frustrating at all for you all?
No, we always felt it'd get released, but we kind of had to, once the album was done, we started shopping it, trying to get record labels to release it, and then that took forever. And really, at the end of the day, Seeing Red's just putting the vinyl out, but it just took a while, and there were some personnel changes as well. So we really just weren't ready for a while to actually release an album. And then we wanted to make sure that when we released this record, that it was set up properly, and that getting the right PR involved and just giving it every chance that it, could have for success, So especially after the last record and everything that went along with that.
Did this album turn out exactly the way you guys wanted it to?
Pretty damn close. Not too many changes that I would have on it. I think we took our time recording it for sure. A lot of back and forth. There's things I could go back and change, but for the most part, it turned out pretty well in our opinion.
Did the band add anything differently, Bill, on this album than what fans are accustomed to hearing from O ZORN, or no?
I mean, it all still sounds like O ZORN. I mean, if you go to our first album, the self-titled, which is super doomy and super gnarly, but there's always been elements of kind of accessibility with every song. I think this album is, it still sounds like O ZORN. It is a little bit more accessible and more melodic, a little more atmospheric sounding, I think, in spots. Probably just a little bigger sounding, like really big choruses, and which is just kind of where we've been heading anyways in the last few years, and continue to.
The single Never Saw It Coming deals with the loss of a longtime friend who was unable to overcome the guilt and grief of losing two family members to COVID-19 within days of each other.
Yeah.
How difficult was that for you to put into words? And did you have to take breaks and come back to this, or did it just flow, flawlessly?
Well, the music flowed in the way I write. I mean, lyrics usually come later, and sometimes meanings come later as well. And what was kind of crazy about this song is, I lost a friend. It was more of like a coworker to me, but someone that but though I had known for years, but really kind of under the workplace environment. I didn't really know him too well outside of the work environment. And we all kind of have that, I guess. You have friends at work that you grow tight with, but you never really know what's going on at home. And then so his suicide was a bit of a surprise. I mean, I'd known that he'd lost his brother and his father to COVID, within days of each other. And they all lived together, super traditional Hispanic family out here in Los Angeles, where everybody kind of lived under one roof. So he watched it all go down. But when, when he passed, though, I'm looking for answers and clues as to what the hell happened or why he had to go that far, and I'm getting, word from his family that he had a drug problem, getting word from his family that he had these psychological issues from when he was a child. And there's things that I didn't know, nor did he share with us at work, I'd known him in the workplace for years. So again, never saw it coming, it's in the title. But what was kind of crazy is I'd actually written all the lyrics to this song, and the true meaning behind it all didn't really come till later. It was just one of those things where it's like, whoa, wait a minute. This all sounds very familiar as to what's going on, and sometimes the way it works,
Sure.
Meaning and lyrics can come after the fact. So, and then a lot of that in my case is pretty often.
So what led that track to be that first song to be released off this album? What was it about that said, well, this has got to go out first for us, no matter what?
Oh, I think it was just because it probably is the most like friendliest song on the record, as far as like accessibility and being and having more of that kind of structure and arrangement. The more kind of hittier song on the record, and like I said, we wanted to give the album the best chance it has for success, and so that song and Slow Mood were kind of the more go-to singles.
How's the feedback been on the release of those singles, Never Saw It Coming and Slow Mood? What's been the feedback, man, that's kind of fueled your guys' fire so far, if anything?
Really great. I mean, everybody seems to really enjoy it. Done quite a few interviews in the last couple of days, and everybody seems pretty stoked on the songs, and a few of the people that do have the record are really excited about it as well. But yeah, everybody seems pretty excited about it.
Was there a track for this album, Bill, that totally ended up sounding different than what it was intended to? Was there one that kept changing, or no?
I don't really changing. There's the last song on the record, which is a song called Ricochet. That was probably the hardest song to wrangle vocally, just because it is comprised of just 5 parts that, don't repeat themselves in the whole song. So it's basically a 5-part song where, getting the transitions right into every part. And then also getting the vocals and cadence and arrangement of those to dial in. But no, everything kind of turned out the way we had hoped. Me and the drummer hashed it out over a year, and then demoed the songs and kind of got everything pretty tight and figured it out before we even entered the studio. But yeah, we're pretty content with how everything turned out.
So did that song take you out of your comfort zone a little bit on how you had to organize the actual layout of that song and the vocals with it?
Yeah, because it's just really about transition, and I've always said that if you're singing on a song, you can make just about any 2 parts work together vocally if you transition into them correctly, through melody and harmony.
Any songs that did not make the album your killer that ended up on this new album possibly? Did anything end up on this album from that one?
No, everything for this album was just written from scratch.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any on this album right now? Because I know these are your babies. Trust me, I get that completely. But are there any that are standing out for you possibly?
I Got Mine is probably my favorite track on the record. The opening track, Features, is also a favorite.
So with this sound, with this new album and the new sound that you guys are delving into, is this what I want to get from O Zorn, or are you guys still experimenting inside that bottle to reach something else maybe?
Yeah, so we have new members. So for Your Killer, we have a whole new different personnel now. So the guys that were on Your Killer, Billy and Danny, are no longer with the band. So, with this new record, we have new members, and our sound is actually starting to move more towards an atmospheric, kind of more friendlier, sludgier, melodic sound. But yeah, we're constantly evolving. As long as it still sounds like, whatever we come up with sounds like it comes from O Zorn. We're just moving in kind of a more accessible, friendlier, melodic version. Our first record is super doomy, super heavy, super gnarly. You're a Killer starts to open up a little bit more with bigger choruses, a little more melody. I think this album has a lot more melody, a lot more atmosphere, and that's kind of the direction we are moving in. That's the type of stuff that I enjoy writing now, and the rest of the band would probably agree.
Look, I know you got 2 albums out, plus I know you've probably written 1,000 songs before these 2 albums, but what has been the toughest or best song that the band has written so far, in your own opinion?
Gosh, I just mentioned you Ricochet on this new album, last song. That was a tough one.
I want to go back here for just a minute and ask, what has these new members brought to O Zorn that might have been missing? I'm not knocking the other members or anything like that, but what have they brought to this table, man? It's kind of like fueled that fire. And I hate to keep using that word, but I mean, it brings rejuvenation back into the band.
100%. Yeah. These guys are all songwriters in their own right. The three guys in the band now, the drummer Derek, and then the two Justin Suter on lead guitar and Justin Morales on bass. They come from a band called Painted Wives, pretty established band here in the area. And again, they've been around a long time, veterans. These guys, honestly, for the first time in probably 10 years, maybe 12 years, I feel like I'm in a band again. Whereas before with previous members, I mean, a lot of holding hands, a lot of, in guys that didn't really contribute to the songwriting process. I'm finally now with some members that actually contribute to the writing and can actually, like I said, I mean, whereas before I would write everything and track everything, which I did with this album for the most part as well. These guys kind of joined after the fact, but now in this new writing process, it's so refreshing to have guys that get it, and understand, are professionals, and have their heads screwed on straight, to be honest with you.
Is the track listing placement important for O ZORN'S album or EP releases, man, or does it really kind of matter?
Oh, no, it's important for sure. I think this new album flows really well. But you know what? But in thinking about that, I think the songs would probably work in whatever order they're put in. I still like to study it and make sure everything is placed correctly with some breathing room here and there. And
who did the cover art for this album?
This guy, Chris Friedman. He's done a lot of artwork for the band over the years. He did the layout of the last record, but Chris did the artwork for this album, and then he also did artwork for each single as well, or for every track actually. I'm sorry. So every track has its own piece that will be, that we've been kind of actually. So if you look at Slow Mood, the artwork for that was done by the same artist, and it's all in theme with the album artwork.
So Ryan Boesch produced this album. He's worked with Horrors, Andrew WK, Tomahawk, and the Eagles. How was working with him, man? And did he get something out of you guys that maybe somebody else might not have gotten possibly?
Well, when we recorded the record, it was just the drummer and I. So Derek and I had hashed out the entire album over like a year during the pandemic, and it was just us. So him and I, we just flew out to Tampa with just my guitars. I didn't bring any amps. I didn't bring any pedals. I didn't bring anything. I literally just brought 3 guitars. My drummer didn't even bring any drums. So we actually borrowed a drum kit from a local thrash band out of Tampa, and I just used whatever the studio had by way of amps and pedals. So in regard to Ryan getting anything out, pushing us or getting anything out of us that we wouldn't have already had when we came out, no, not really. But he's just a kick-ass engineer. And him and I just sat there and found tone and sounds through the gear that he had. And that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to just go in and experiment with whatever it is that he had. Not coming in with any pedals or amps that I had, it was just like, it's just kind of a, free for all.
It's like a big open canvas. Let's see what creates here.
big open canvas. And so that was fun, he had quite a few cool rigs, and then he's kind of a pedal guy. So he's got all kinds of great pedals and whatnot, where we were able to just go and experiment, turn things on, turn things off. Taking time with him and doing guitars too. That was awesome. Doing vocals with him was awesome. Very easy to work with.
Now we're going to get to know Bill, just Bill only here. If you could write an album equivalent to your favorite band's album, which album would that be? If you could say, if I could write an album just like that, I want to write it just like that one, close to it.
Well, a few albums come to mind. The Afghan Wigs, Gentleman. That would probably be the one. Yeah, that album, Afghan Wigs, Gentleman. And that's not a heavy band either, by the way. That's an indie rock band. I don't listen to a whole lot of heavy music. I like to write and record it and play it, but for the most part, I listen to a lot easier stuff.
If you could be a member in an iconic band and play one of their legendary shows, which band would it be, and possibly what show would it be, man?
Probably. Let's see here, man. I saw Jane's Addiction in like the late '90s. I was a lot younger, but played the Hollywood Palladium out here in Los Angeles, and it was one of the craziest shows I had ever been to, and super impactful, and just the whole thing about it. It was like right before. I don't know if you're familiar with Jane's Addiction, but
Yeah.
the band. But it was like after their Nothing Shocking album, going into their Ritual de Habitual record. And it was them and the Pixies and Primus. They're all on the same bill. It was a wild bill. But yeah, to be them, because it was electric.
Now, was this pre Dave Navarro or after Dave Navarro?
No, Dave Navarro was still in the band.
Man, you got to see the freaking Primus, Les Claypool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was wild. And then just like sound funny, but I saw Dwight Yoakam play once, and fucking man, I had the same feeling. Like it was so electric. I was just like, good Lord, man. Like it I mean, I wasn't even really a Dwight Yoakam fan. You know what I mean? I knew the earlier hits and all that stuff, but man, I saw him play live once. Holy shit, man. I was just absolutely blown away.
I'm from Kentucky, so I know.
Oh, you
I listen to all kinds of things, and I could put in one of his albums and jam out to hit just as well as I could Metallica or Danzig or anybody. It's like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But I love hearing these answers, especially from a band like O Zorn, who plays the sludgy, atmospheric stuff like that, to listen to who you guys actually listen to and to see what you actually play. Is like, huh?
Yeah, dude.
It's like, what?
Yeah, man. I love my indie rock and my, I love metal, of course, and
Sure.
All the genres of it. But, usually you'll find me on in my car, listening to Japanese breakfast or something, like something that's, my wife trips out too, because I love female singers as well. So I'm always listening to kind of cheeky girl indie rock sometimes.
So what about Baby Metal? You like those? You like them?
Is that the band from Japan?
Yes.
I wouldn't say I like them, but I mean, but I get it, and it's certainly fun and novel.
What's been your most memorable show that the band has been a part of that you still cannot believe that it was, if it's happened already or not?
Well, when Black Flag first reunited out here with their first singer, they played at the Observatory, and we got invited to play with them. So that show was pretty crazy. This was years ago, so this would have been in 2011, I think. And it was before Black Flag had kind of reformed. They hadn't been doing shows, and they hadn't played a show in, I think it was 25, 30 years or something like that. So it was their first show with the original singer. And yeah, we got asked to play that. So that was a pretty wild show.
Yeah, not Henry Rollins, folks. Not Henry.
No, yeah, before Henry.
Oh man. All right. So playing your first show and feeding off the vibe of the crowd at your show, does it still have that same feeling today? And does it mean more to you now?
Yeah, because especially unless we go on tour, like locally, we don't play that often. We may do 2 or 3 shows a year locally. Mm-hmm. So, and now when we do play, they're really like big events, and they're kind of like celebrations. And so, yeah, every show that we do, and so we approach, and because of that, we approach shows a lot because we don't play a lot locally. Our approach to playing shows is different as opposed to just, like my old bands, we play anywhere, anytime, we get offered a show, even if it was like on a Wednesday night out in Hollywood, and usually, not the greatest of shows. We try any show we get asked to play a lot, but we turn down a lot of shows because bad shows are just morale killers. And so you know, and so when we do book a show, we try to make sure, like, our next show is going to be it's our record release show on the 23rd. And we haven't played locally in, like 4 months. Last time we played locally was like 4 or 5 months ago. And so really looking forward to the show. And, you know, we try to make it just a real party, you know.
All right, Bill, how can folks stay in touch with O ZORN? Buy this new album that's getting ready to come out on March 15th entitled Vermillion Haze. How can he do that, sir?
You can get us on Instagram at O ZORN Rocks. Actually, any social media spots. O ZORN Rocks is our handle, I guess. And then, of course, ozornrocks.com, Spotify, Apple Music. It's all out there.
And I'll also have all those links in the drop down here in this podcast. Once it goes to YouTube, there's no excuses, folks. It's right there. Everything is at your fingertips. All you got to do is click. Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Get out and check out our YouTube page. And please subscribe to the YouTube page if you like what I'm doing. And I hope you guys and gals do, because I love bringing these interviews to you all. So, Bill, thank you so much. And, folks, don't forget to get out and check out O ZORN and pick up this new album, plus these new singles that are out, Never Saw It Coming and Slow Mood. Thank you, Bill, so much for being on the podcast today, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Have a great one.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.